Okay. Testing 1, 2, 3.
I see Les is at home, okay.
Mr. Robbins, we may begin.
I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Insurance Benefits and Ledge Committee for Wednesday, January 3rd, in the great year of 2024.
This meeting is being conducted virtually and in person, so I will do a roll call of the trustees to confirm attendance. Mr. Knox,
Good morning, I'm here.
Ms. Durazo. Okay. She's here. Ms. Gray, Mr. Rue, Mr. Sanchez, Mr. Oakham, Mr. Green, Mr. Moore,
Here.
Mr. Kehoe,
Present.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Chair Robbins.
I'm not present, but I'm involved in the meeting. I apologize for not being in the office.
Staff participating in the meeting includes CEO Santos Kryman, Deputy CEO Louis Lugo, AEOs JJ Popowich, Laura Guglielmo, Chief Counsel Stephen Rice, Legislative Affairs Officer Barry Liu, from Retiree Healthcare, Cassandra Smith, Director, and Kathy Magida, Consultants Stephen Murphy, Debbie Donaldson, and Michael Zito from Siegel. Trustees, please use the raise your hand Zoom option to be placed in queue. At this time, we ask all meeting participants to mute your mics until you are ready to speak, and we may now proceed with the agenda.
Thank you very much. Call to order is completed. Item 2 is a procedure for teleconference meeting attendance. I'm the only one that falls underneath that category today. I'm not sure whether my just cause or emergency circumstances, but
Just cause.
anyway,
It's just cause.
just cause. Okay, thank you, Terry.
Just because.
So item 3A is approval of the minutes. I need a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes of December 6th. Are there any corrections or changes? Seeing none. Take a vote.
Mr. Kehoe,
Aye.
Mr. Oakham,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Chair Robbins.
I'm an aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We are now on public comment. Is anyone from the public wishing to address the committee?
I have nothing.
I do not either. So great. We're now on item 5, the non-consent items. Item A, state engagement. Mr. Liu.
Thank you. Good morning and Happy New Year, Chair Robbins and trustees. So this is a recommendation to approve a visit to the Sacramento, California Legislature. As you may recall, our state lobbyist, Naomi Padron, last year talked about the general election in November 2022 and some of the new turnover in members of the Senate and the Assembly. So this will be an opportunity to meet with some of those new members, as well as possibly the new chair of the Assembly Committee. So, and also SACers at the fall conference had approved a sponsorship of an omnibus bill with proposals, 2 of which were proposed by LACERA. So this will be a good opportunity to, educate the legislators about our operations and then also some specific legislation that would affect us in the upcoming year. So would ask for the approval of the recommendation.
How about a motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Does anyone have any questions? Go ahead and we take the vote.
Mr. Kehoe,
Aye.
Mr. Oakham,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Chair Robbins.
I'm an aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. We're on item 6, reports. A, semi-annual report on approved engagements. Mr. Liu.
Thank you, Chair Robbins. So this is just a recap of the past 6 months. So we didn't have any congressional meetings in the second half of 2023, but staff and trustees will be attending the upcoming NCPERS legislative conference, where we can hopefully do some congressional visits as well. And then, as with the prior item, we're planning to make some visits for the state legislature as well. As far as the legislative positions that we adopted, there was AB 1020, which was the bill on the service-connected disability presumption. So we took a neutral position on that, but we also forwarded a lot of technical and administrative, I would say, suggestions to the author and sponsor, which they accepted. And so, these will be applied for upcoming cases. And then the other bills that we adopted supported positions on were the Social Security, windfall elimination, and government pension offset related bills. So there were 4 of them that we adopted support positions on. And then other than that, we'll continue working in the Sacramento Legislative Committee, and that'll be the outlook for the upcoming year.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions for Barry? We can move on to item C, staff activities report.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Only one thing to report. Our Part B annual mailing was done on December 20th. So our members have now gotten those letters. If they are paying a part of their Part B other than the standard amount of $174.70, then they need to send in verification to us. So over 26,000 of them were automatically updated based on the changes that we made last year, which is very helpful to our staff. So I just want to give kudos to my staff, retiree healthcare, communications, as well as systems and their support.
So there were 26,000 mailed out, Cassandra?
There were 26,000 accounts that we automatically updated.
Okay,
There were over 30-some thousand letters that were mailed out.
okay. Anyone have any questions on this issue? Does that conclude your report, Cassandra?
That concludes my report. Thank you.
We will go on to.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Chair Robbins.
Report. Hello.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. We still have the monthly engagement report to go over as well.
Okay,
So I can do that before we get to the claims experience.
okay.
So this month's items of interest, the first one is about a study that was done by the Defined Contribution Institutional Investment Association, where they looked at what matters more to employees, wages or benefits, and they found that an employer's matching contribution and defined contribution plans is a significant factor in attracting and retaining staff. So there was an analysis done in that employees give preference to jobs although with lower wages, but with a more robust employer match compared to, say, a higher paying job without the benefit. But although that preference does vary demographically, so older workers and higher income workers would prioritize retirement benefits, whereas younger and lower income workers would prefer immediate wages. And so the study gave an example of how with this national laboratory, a lot of workers are leaving because for higher pay and remote work. So in this case, rather than increase retirement benefits, they did have to increase wages in response to that. The next item is regarding preferences of younger workers, age 35 and under, in terms of why they go into public service and why they stay or don't stay. This was a study done by the Mission Square Research Institute that looked at about 1,000 state and local government employees age 35 or under. So some of the things that attracted respondents to the current job is job security and work-life balance, as well as health insurance. And then about 70% believe that the benefits that are offered by their employer are competitive. And some of the other items here are that 77% think that they should be saving more for retirement, but they do face challenges in that some of them may not be able to save, or there might be other savings priorities. And then as far as their feelings about their workplace, a huge majority believes that it's important that it improves communities, that the workplace has strong team dynamics, and that also aligns with their values. So these are just some of the highlights regarding preferences for age 35 and younger workers in public service. The next item is about Gen X and retirement savings. So the baby boomers and millennials seem to get all the oxygen as far as this issue is concerned. But as far as Gen X is concerned, who are aged 43 to 58, they have a pretty significant retirement savings gap. Based on a survey, Gen Xers believe they need about 1.1 million for a comfortable retirement, but they anticipate only saving about 600,000, leaving a deficit of about 450,000. So that's a bigger shortfall than between the millennials and baby boomers. Also, the other thing is Gen Xers tend to rely more on 401k plans as they came of age during the time when pensions became less and less prevalent. So, but about 60% of them aren't confident in achieving their goals, and 45% haven't done any retirement planning at all. And then also due to being risk averse, about 32% of them allocate the retirement assets to cash instead of a more, I guess, robust strategy. So one of the things that the study advocates is, diversification and making sure that employees take advantage of matching contributions and also having more financial education. So the last time is a really interesting one about California safety members who moved to Idaho, specifically the city of Eagle, Idaho, which is about 10 minutes northwest of Boise. It's also been, it's a town that's been very popular with retired California police and firefighters. But the influx of retirees that moving in have been causing political tensions. For example, in a recent mayoral election, where it was sort of a contest between who was the least Californian among the Republican candidates. And so the newcomers generally come in with, say, six-figure pensions that are higher than what the, say, current employees are being paid in their salaries. So, for example, the incumbent mayor was criticizing some of these new retirees in that they're also advocating for Idaho to bring the same level of benefits up as California. So I think one interesting comment is his concern about raising taxes is that his response to a constituent's question about why aren't there more maintenance workers to pick up garbage in the streets, and it was that, well, so you want your taxes to go up and you want more government. So you can see some of the political tensions between political philosophies in terms even just within this group of Republican constituents. So the article profiles a number of transplants, and a lot of them, give their reasons for moving out of California in terms of the high taxation or their disillusionment with Californians' governance, as well as perceptions of law enforcement. We also ran a few numbers looking at this to see, well, how many LACERA members moved to Idaho. So we have 498 safety members, fire and police, that are in Idaho, and that breaks down to the fire department has 99 employees, and then the sheriff's department has 399. So that accounts for the 498. And then when you look at their average pension benefits, the entire group, fire and sheriff, is about $8,600 a month. But if you break it down between the, let's say, the fire and sheriff's department, so the fire department has total average of $9,800, and the safety members in fire are getting about $10,000 a month, whereas the general members get about $4,500 a month. And on the sheriff's side, the total average is $8,300, and that breaks down to $8,900 for the deputies, and then about $2,400 for the civilian employees. And then if you kind of step back and take a more big picture view in terms of, between the fire and sheriff's department, where are they? Most of them are in California. There's about 11,000 that are still in California. The other states in the top 5 would be Arizona, Idaho, Nevada, and Texas. And so there's about 800 in Arizona. Again, it's 498 in Idaho, 482 in Nevada, and 426 in Texas. If you recall from last year's study on economic impact, almost a super majority of our retirees remain within California. So they're not necessarily retiring here and then kind of taking their pensions away to a different state. California still benefits from the economic impact of our retirees. So that concludes my report. Happy to take any questions.
Thanks for that info. Anyone have any questions for Barry? The mayor referred to in that article, Barry, by the way, lost his reelection bid. Oh, well, so.
I think it was to a captain from Santa Clarita, right?
I
think that's
hadn't
what
heard
it was.
that, but that wouldn't surprise me. You know, they're all either no tax or low tax states. They're basically going so they don't have to pay income taxes on their pensions. I mean, that's the game. And that's pretty much what's going on. Of course, they can cash out and buy real estate. That one guy had bought the Long Beach policeman had bought four homes. So living in one and renting three. So yeah, they're gonna love you there, so. Okay, now we can go to item D, the claims experience, Mr. Zito.
Good morning, trustees. Can we share the presentation? Thank you very much. The first exhibit contains the premium and enrollment by medical, dental, and vision plans. There's been minimal change from the prior report, but I'd just like to highlight, as we're getting into the renewal season, that on a premium basis, the Anthem plans consist of 45.5% of the monthly premium, and then on an enrollment basis, the Kaiser plan consists of 47.8% of the retiree enrollment. Next slide, please. This exhibit contains the non-Medicare plan experience for Anthem, Cigna, and Kaiser. For Anthem's year-over-year trend, the rolling trend decreased to 0.6% as of November 2023. This represents a 3.2 percentage point decrease from last month's report. The Cigna plans experienced a negative trend decrease of 7.7%. As of November 2023, which is a slight increase of 0.5 percentage points from last month's report, and the Kaiser experience has been updated through August of 2023, resulting in an 8.3% year-over-year trend decrease. This group also is experiencing a negative trend in 2023 as compared to 2022, with a slight decrease of a 0.5 percentage point decrease from the July 2023 report. Next slide, please. This exhibit contains the Anthem claims experience on an aggregate basis and by plan. On an aggregate basis, for all Anthem plans, the year-over-year trend decreased from 5.7% to 3.8%, which is approximately a 1.9 percentage point decrease from last month. For all plans, the overall plan experience decreased. For plans 1 and 2, it decreased by 2%, which is offset by Prudent Buyer and plans 3. Prudent Buyer experienced a 16.1% increase, whereas plan 3 experienced a 9.8% increase. Next slide, please. This contains the Kaiser experience, which was updated through August of 2023. In the prior month, it was updated through July of 2023. The year-over-year trend on a member basis through August of 2023 was a decrease of 7.93%, largely driven by inpatient claims and to a lesser extent outpatient and other claims. This pattern is similar to what was seen in the prior report. The total paid claims on a year-over-year trend basis as of August of 2023 decreased by 6.93%, which is approximately 1% percentage point lower than the experience through July of 2023. The inpatient claims year-over-year trend decreased by 3.06 percentage points to a negative 20.46% as compared to the prior report. And the inpatient days and admits per thousand decreased by 4.35 percentage points and 3.28 percentage points respectively, resulting in a negative trend of 10.15% and 8.35% as of August of 2023 when compared to the prior report. Next slide, please. This contains the high cost claimant experience for the non-Medicare plans. For Anthem's non-Medicare plans, the polling point decreased by 8.8% to a negative trend of 12.1% when compared to the prior report. For Cigna, the year-over-year trend increased by 3.2%, resulting in a negative year-over-year trend of 29.7%. And for Kaiser, which the experience was updated through August of 2023, experienced a significant decrease in claims of 62.5%. It's mainly due to a decrease in overall claims exceeding the threshold. Next slide, please. This slide contains the prescription drug rebates for Anthem. The prescription drug rebates increased by 5.7% to $168 per retiree per month for the period beginning October 2022 through September of 2023, which is an increase of 1.3 percentage points from the prior rebate report through June of 2023. Next slide, please. This contains the dental and the vision claims experience. The dental claims year-over-year trend decreased slightly from 4.1% to 3.8% when compared to the prior report, and the vision claims year-over-year trend increased from 7.6% to 8.9% when compared to the prior report. Thank you.
Trustee Robbins, before we transition to the legislative update, if I could, just a couple comments on the experience. I think as Michael pointed out, the impact of large claims has a tremendous impact on kind of the overall performance of the plans. As you can see, we'll use Kaiser as an example. A significant decrease in the number of large claimants is creating that kind of favorable trend that we're seeing in this report. So that's the good news, and we'll continue to monitor that. With respect to the renewal process, we've begun that in October. We're actually have a scheduled meeting with all your vendors on Thursday of next week to kind of do some refinements and kind of address any remaining questions that exist from LACERA staff and Siegel. So we hope to have that done, and then we'll present the findings at the February meeting at the IVLC. So I've got that update for you. But again, thank you, Michael, for going over the experience. Any questions from the board?
I just have, that was based on only we having 6 big claims. Is that why things have gone down as much?
It was the magnitude. I think if I recall the exhibit correctly, there were 6 large claims in both periods, but the magnitude, I think it was 3.5 million in the prior period, and I think 1.5 million in the current period. So that swing was the impact. And again, the experience for Kaiser is specifically the non-Medicare population. We don't get line of sight to the vast majority of members that are enrolled in the KIPSA Senior Advantage Plan.
It just seems interesting that the number of patients in November was way down. You know, that's just unusual. It usually increases by the end of it, doesn't it, Steve?
It does. I think that's one of the key items we want to bring up to Kaiser as well. I think from a budgeting perspective, again, they do a global budget process for their system, and then they break that down and push that down to plan sponsors like LACERA. So again, based on your experience, there's some modification to the overall renewal. That being said, I think the last 3 quarters that we've seen, they've been performing better than I think what they had anticipated. And that's going to be one of the items that we'll be bringing up with the Kaiser team next week.
Thank you.
Does that conclude your report, Steve?
Quick legislative update. Again, I want to give kudos to Cassandra, specifically the LACERA staff, as well as some of your vendor partners. We've been updating you on the fact that there was a gag clause requirement reporting that contracts with providers didn't include gag clauses, which prevented the transparency of discounts negotiated, costs of care, et cetera. So your vendors have taken care of that on behalf of LACERA, and then Cassandra took care of the one remaining item that was related to the pharmacy program in December. So LACERA is in the good, and we're ready to move on and wait for whatever else comes down the pike. And that'll conclude our comments.
Anyone have any questions for Steve? Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Going to be interesting. Item 7, items for staff review.
I have nothing.
Thank you. Items for future agendas.
I have nothing.
Neither do I. Good of the order. Anyone would like to speak? Just raise your hand, because I can pretty much see everybody. So I'll hold mine to the board meeting. So
I'll just give one update about the Rose Parade. I don't know if we have any sheriffs here that work. There were the average 27 million people watching that ball game. At one time, there were 32 million, and I forgot what the time was. Usually the Rose Bowl has about 18 or 19 million. I mean, this is the second largest game in the last 20 years. So we're real excited about that, particularly when we're going to negotiate a new contract. That helps a little bit.
anything else, anyone? With that, I'll accept a motion to adjourn. I think I heard a motion to adjourn. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
9:05 for the board meeting. Give everybody 10-minute break. 9:05.
Recording stopped.